It's late and I can't sleep. I wonder what the topic for this week's show should be. Lighting for green screen? Maybe. Maybe for another week. 3-point lighting? Nah, that's Chuck's thing. Color, temperature, and white balance? No. This is a pretty cool scene I'm in right now. What, with the moonlight glowing outside and the blinds on my windows are breaking up the light and casting cool shadows throughout the room? I should show people the effects of using a cookie in their production to break up a flat wall or to set a mood. Yeah, that's perfect. So this week, we'll cast a shadow over this production and show some simple tricks for spicing up your shots without using any wacky cookie metaphors like using cookies in your production, the right recipe for cooking up your own cookies, or, I'll just stop there. Now, using cookies, which are sometimes referred to as a cucalores or oftentimes a gobo, to cast shadows is a technique almost as old as film itself. But it's my observation that people don't use these in most day-to-day productions because they either think they have to purchase some high-end devices or that maybe they're technically not up to the task. Well, if this is you, you couldn't be more wrong. Now, for our purposes, I'm going to call what we're using today a cookie, not a gobo, even though the names are pretty much interchangeable. Gobo gets its name from go-between, referring to an object that's placed between a light source and the subject, which is pretty much what a cookie is too. But there are other things out there that are called gobos, like this little aluminum disc with a pattern cut right into it. You'd place this in front of a really high-powered spotlight and it would project the pattern onto a wall or set or whatever the case is. You see these a lot in live events and for theater. Me, I like using cookies because, quite frankly, I can make them myself for next to nothing. Now, cookies can be made from just about any material, just as long as it's rigid. If you're handy with one of these, or if you have a Billy, hi Billy.
Hey, Perry.
Then you can cut yourself some shapes into some 1/4-inch ply. These are going to last a lot longer, but there are other skills involved in creating these. Me, I just use whatever I can get my hands on. This was an old box. Is it pretty? Nope, but it does the job. Now, there's some common patterns that are used throughout. You got your window blinds, you could use stars, geometric shapes, or just a random pattern of swigglies and swirls. Now, this is a common window pattern that we've seen thousands of times. This is just black foam core cut and taped together in little strips to form the cross section that most windows have. Now, just about any object that casts a shadow can be used as a cookie. You can use foam core, cardboard, you can use a dish towel holder, or you can go snip a limb off of the nearest tree. If you're against harming a tree, you can always opt for the fake ficus, but they're a little more expensive. Now, once you pick your pattern, you got to know where to put it. Let's take a look. All right, here we've got our homemade jobber and our light source. To do this effectively, you need to use a hard light source, meaning a light with no diffusion on it to help soften the edges of the shadow. Just a good old hard light and maybe a gel if you want to add a little color to the mix. Now, the distance from the cookie to the light source is going to determine the sharpness of the shadow, meaning the farther we get from the light source, the sharper the edges around the shadow. The closer we get, and the edges begin to soften. Here, let's do it with this. The further we are away here, see the sharp edges? As we walk it in closer, the edges begin to blur. And it just kind of becomes a cool texture on the wall. Okay, so kind of play with it and settle on a look that you like. Once you do, go ahead and grab yourself a stand and clamp the cookie into place. Let's mix this up a little further, shall we? All right, let's start by getting this stuff out of the way. All right, clear this spot, bring in my table. Good, like that. And silverware and the fake ficus, and maybe a couple pictures on the wall, that'll work. Good, now let's set this hard light for our cookie. Good, nice in place. I will probably have to adjust that a little bit later. Probably throw an orange gel on it. Okay, there's my nice little hair light. Excellent. And how about a soft light for the key? Seems to be working just fine. I'll make a few more adjustments and... Well, you know what's great about this technique is that it's cheap and lets you result back to your grade school days of yesteryear and just do some good old-fashioned drawing and cutting. You know, if you've got kids, you can involve them too. Have them trace you out a bunch of wacky shapes and just go crazy cutting cookies. Well, that's about it for this week. Thanks a lot for watching. Good luck. What do we got here? Coffee? I drink soda.